Sorry about that. Which should put him in, I would say, at least GM, right? I'm sure going to be picked up by a solid team, but I'm not sure. I'll get a better idea as to his skill level the more we watch the series unfold. So, in the top right, currently living in Canada, it is the Blue Zerg and Namshar. In the bottom left is the Red Protoss. It is Spaz. From Germany, actually. So, getting a little bit of a disadvantage here. Namshar is actually living East Coast Canada, so this is very preferable for him. But the qualifier rules are that if you are facing someone from Korea, you would be on West. If you're facing someone from Europe, you're on East. So even if you're West, even if you're living in California and you face European, it sounds like you would still be forced on the East. But let's be real, if you're in North America, you're okay with any server in North America, excluding the quote-unquote North American servers, Australia and Brazil. Yeah. Excluding those ones. Thank you very much, Shinoi, for the 100 Bitterinos. Thank you. Maybe contact the sponsor yourself. You never know. It's very true. You know, I wish I was better at just reaching out, right? There was that guy. There's been multiple guys at this point, but there was a couple of cases of people just saying, "I'm gonna ask whatever I want and just be okay with getting a no." And like one time, a guy asked for like a free meal, and they were like, "All right, fine," and he was like, "Oh, all right." I feel like I should do that because it's not so much the no that scares me, right? It's the idea that I've bothered them. And now they're like, I can't believe she did that. Like, let's never work with her again. You know what I mean? Or if, like, I'm kind of friends with someone, but I don't talk to them often because I don't talk to people that often. I am very non-talkative. One-on-one conversations online. I mean, who wants that? Anyways. And like someone would be like, just ask them, you know? Like, I'm sure they'll be fine with it. They like you. And I'm like, do they like me though? Like, I don't actually know. I mean, I don't want to seem like I'm just using them because I kind of know them. Like, that'd be very mean of me. And it's just an anxiety, you know? How is this gonna wall off? I guess the second gateway goes here. I'm actually personally curious because I tried walling this off when I played Protoss and I failed. I fell hard. Namshar did just go ahead and take this third base. This is natural. The probe scout was going to block him. Going for Overlord speed right now. Very quickly. So that is Overlord speed first, and then perhaps investing into that metabolic boost. It could suck if there was some like double adept pressure, for instance, but it actually was a Stalker first, which the Overlord would have seen because it has a little pervert pillar here. And a Stalker just does not go out to combat Zerg. I think back in Wings of Liberty, it did. And I don't even remember how or why, but you would actually have a couple like Stalker pokes, and I'm just like, how do they not die to just speedlings? I don't understand. But Wings of Liberty in 2010 was a very different game. Anyhow, so a Stalker and then Adept and then Sentry. So a bit of an odd mishmash there. The Sentry follow-up is not what's odd, just the Adept actually kind of being fit in is what I thought was a little bit odd. But it is going to be a robo play, so much more important thing to talk about here. Namshar with that quick overlord speed gets sight on that, but of course the Warp Prism had just told him. Because the Warp Prism is used to clear out that pervert pillar overlord 100% of the time. You just kind of have to reveal that you're going for a robo, even if you don't necessarily reveal it to an overlord, the actual robo itself. But what Namshar absolutely wants to scout for are these mining. You know, right now they're not. It's actually kind of surprising that Spaz even goes for a double fake gas. Because when a robo is scouted, it's like, I think like almost all the builds with robo have a third gas. And then, of course, if things happen, you might get a fourth gas later. But anyways, these are double fake, and that is seen. This is even, like, you know, not fully mining here. So while it's not a lot of gateways, it is getting to be about 7. It's not bad. It's not like an 8 gateway all in. It's still going to be a lot very suddenly and very early on. So you got a Warp Prism for Micro, you got a handful of sentries to help it with a couple force fields, and this is kind of a nasty spot here. A couple force fields could actually ruin the attempt to pounce on an army like this, and that's exactly what Spaz is looking for. So Namshar has known about this for a while. He's been building units off of about 40 workers here, but it looks like he knows how dangerous those force fields are, and he doesn't have any corrosive biles, like, actually available. So he just lets his third base die, and that's not exactly an ideal option here. He was actually gas limited because he was building roaches, and then also having to invest into Ravagers. That's a lot of gas, and he only recently got up his additional gases, because again, this attack is just so damn early. But this is not much better than what the hatchery was available, but the corrosive biles are here to actually break those force fields, so unfortunately the queens, most of them go down, handful of roaches as well, bloody mess in front of those force fields, and not many of the Protoss units have gone down. So Namshar starting to feel heat for certain a little bit. Letting that third base go is fine if he was able to just squash this attack, but if he lets the third base go and is having difficulty actually clearing things up, well, then you know you're in a lot of trouble. So Spaz, at this point, he is going to go back into producing probes. He's going to saturate his gases, and he's going to try and make this more than just an all-in or win game, and I think that is the wiser choice. The corrosive bile count was starting to get a little up there. The force fields were basically already gone anyway, so his army was on a timer. And to commit any more is very dangerous. I mean, using the map here, I think is actually very cool. Spaz definitely up into the GM for sure. He's playing some pretty good Protoss here. But yeah, you're playing with fire for certain. Like I guess there's now 3 force fields once again, but for a minute there, I don't think they're ready. That's a little scary, since speed is done for the Lings. They can get a wraparound, and couple corrosive biles could ruin your day. But the attack did not end the game, so we're in that really weird position where third hatchery went down, the drone count was kept low, but you both still have armies, and we all know that a Zerg player could very quickly, once that third base is back up, get to 60 drones. It's just a matter of time waiting for the third base to actually be useful. It looked like he was maybe going to take it over here, but he decided not to, so back to the usual one. Some War Prism harassment, always a great idea. Hopefully, if they do initiate a counterattack, maybe they feel truly desperate and they just go entirely all in. Hopefully, your force fields can buy a little bit of time, even though there are Ravagers available now. And you could always recall the War Prism home. But ideally, more so, the War Prism hits while they're thinking about attacking, and then they realize they have to stay at home, and it gets a little awkward there. You get a couple drones, maybe get an evolution chamber. I thought he was actually going to go more towards the third, but whatever you can grab, right? As long as you don't lose the War Prism. And behind it, you are going to be macroing. So getting to charge pretty quickly here. Forge is finally finishing up, as well as the Templar Archives. So going to be adding on those Archons. And Namshar, well, he's adding on not necessarily higher tech units, but much scarier units. Like Banelings with Baneling speed, with creep spread, that wasn't really denied here. No observer was with the first push, but now it is here, I guess. Like, that is a scary thing to deal with for Protoss. They have to have pretty crisp force fields, and ideally they also have a couple of Archons ready to soak, but this isn't going to work out. Lots of roaches were available there. He does manage to barely escape with the War Prism's full health, which is quite impressive. 2 queens were waiting. It was a bit of a trap there from Namshar, but he saw how many roaches were waiting in that high ground, and he's maybe tempted to actually try and do something, but I don't know. You don't usually look for a surround with the Protoss units. This is a very weird little split here from Spaz. Not sure what the idea was. Maybe he was hoping the Banelings would kind of AI split themselves, basically, and not actually all roll forward. That was a Zerg move, basically, is what Spaz just did there. And, well, luckily he was able to escape with it. Alright, third base is fully saturated. Storm was a priority here, so not adding in a lot of Archons, but rather straight to Storm. We should have some High Templars. We do indeed, and in a War Prism. So this might just look like an innocent little War Prism, but in about 15 seconds here, it's going to have Storm. Force fields come down. Stalkers do take quite a few Banelings to actually tear through. But if they're clumped together, they're clumped together. That's why Banelings are so damn good, because Protoss armies are almost always looking like this. Or Archons, Immortals, or Zealot Sentry. They all clump up. Some Zealots looking for a run-by is a very good idea, but Storm's coming in here. Usually we see this in the PvT, but using it in PvC is not a bad idea. He didn't actually get that many juicy storms. They kind of acted as almost force fields. One more storm, though, and that's a good one. Actually bathing in that just a little bit as he ran up the ramp. Immortal on the left side is going to be taken out, but plenty of heals over the right side. But the Warp Prism actually gets taken out. Good Corrosive Biles there from Namshar, but the rest of his units don't seem to be enough. He's also lost 16 drones on the right side. His third base is going to go down again, and Spaz looking quite good here. Didn't know much about this guy other than he was on Makers and thought, yeah, it must mean that he's pretty good, right? But actually looking very good as he pushes forward. He's got storms rebanking, I guess. Actually, he might not. He might not have any more storms. But he did manage to squeeze in at least one Archon. Balin's trying to roll in, but a good split here. They do catch most of the Zealots, but a lot of the Immortals still left alive, a lot with their shields as well. A couple Force Fields go down to try and split this army in half as things are getting a little bit scary for both sides at this point. A Warp Prism would have made this instantly GG, but without the instant reinforcements, things are looking a little bit hopeful here for our Zerg. He does still have that fourth base, and if he takes up every single Immortal, that would actually be a severe loss for Spaz. He's going to take a long time to actually clean that up. He's focus firing the Immortals down before they can get their shields back. One more is actually rallied across the map. He's not rallying a Warp Prism. Where the hell is that? Oh, it's over here. He needs the F2 and actually get that on the front lines. It also needs to start microing. There's so few units actually left in this game, but Namshar barely ends up holding. He's unfortunately not going to get this last Immortal. The storm's kind of scaring him away, and now that there's a Warp Prism here, the micro potential is just too much for him to continue. But unfortunately for Namshar, he would have really liked to have continued. To actually completely stop the aggression would be the chance he needed to have to actually macro out of this. But if the Warp Prism's here, if it's actually reinforcing, then that's bad news for him. He's desperate to get a couple Banelings in here to take out those Zealots, with a good split once again from Spaz, using that hold position micro on the Zealots. Lots of Archons available as well. One pretty good storm, and the Corrosive Biles, I don't know if they're actually able to do it. They do not take out the Warp Prism. There's not a lot of queens coming from any which way. This one maybe come from behind and try and help out, but the Corrosive Biles all used offensively. He's trying to focus fire down these Archons one at a time, but he is getting corralled into the back of his natural base. The drone count's already looking very poor for Namshar. Spaz still comfortably on 60 workers, 3 bases, can continue to reinforce, and is also thinking of the future. What if he actually can't beat Namshar right here? Well, a Dark Shrine's on the way, +2 is on the way, but I think he absolutely can beat Namshar. Namshar is so desperate to hold on to a pretty pitiful economy, but oh, the Banelings on the left side killing a lot of those Zealots. The Archons actually getting a little bit torn apart from each other, so they're not being microed right now and getting awfully low. The drone pool is coming in, but realizing maybe that's not a great idea, or maybe he doesn't need to do it. One more Archon is about to go down, but more reinforcements. He barely gets the Warp Prism. Oh my god, the hold continues. Are you fucking real right now? Sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to curse. And he actually holds. He holds against the onslaught from Spaz, but is this actually a true hold? He's down 20 workers just about, with a very inferior army that's getting worse as the game goes on, I guess. Like, more storms, more Archons, the Immortal count will eventually rebuild, and +2 attack will finish on the Protoss army. Namshar is going to be stalled out probably on +2 melee, so no upgrades for his Roach Ravager, which, oh man, +1 on those units may have been very, very helpful. Oh, hot damn, man. Namshar with the clutch hold. Even still has some creep spread out here to give him some knowledge of any run buys. Like, you gotta start looking for the tiny things that might add up, because he is still in a very desperate spot. He needs to get his Baneling nest back. Apparently that died. Oh, I missed it. Oh, man. He needs to get his Baneling nest back. And he also needs to get some type of aggression on the other side of the map, because he can't just let Spaz do whatever he wants. He will rebuild an army that's too good to hold against for the third and probably final time. Zealots coming to the right side are going to be mostly cleaned up. Not too much damage there. They're trying to also buy an opportunity for this army to go forward, but not really buying that opportunity. The army was just too coincidentally well placed. Maybe an Overlord drop of Banelings could be an effective way to get some damage done. Because Namshar is a bit desperate. Maybe not an Overlord drop, maybe just actually run your Banelings into this natural. It's only a shield battery, not even a cannon to try and deter those Banelings. Roaches, as I said, like the creep spread over here is surprisingly useful, because it is a very common tactic for Protoss to send something to the left and actually attack on the right on this map. The Bane's gonna look for the High Templars. They're gonna force, actually, all of the Immortals to pop their shields, and that is something. But the War Prism is not target fired with the Corrosive Biles. 29 probes, are you serious? He actually got the entire probe line. I wasn't paying attention, neither was Spaz. But his army looks so damn good right now. He's even trying to work on +3. The Immortals, unfortunately, despite having all of their shields popped, are probably gonna have them back off of cooldown, as this game is just, it's not gonna end right now. But it will definitely end in about a minute in Spaz's favor. Namshar, I don't think he can get a third incredible hold. I just don't think it'll happen. And oh, that Dark Shrine. I totally forgot about it. That's actually totally GG. To clear up DTs just takes too much focus. Too much focus. But oh my god, actually, Spaz. What? No! Don't do this to me! Don't do this to me! He actually just runs into the army. Maybe that was a power move, or maybe he just was clicking his DTs and thought, you know, the army was actually under his control. I don't know what that was, but oh, guys, it is finally game over. Spaz. God, man. Well played from both sides. Well played. So we got to see what Spaz plays like. And that's very well. I mean, he got that early lead by killing the third base, and not just killing the third base, right? He also did get a couple of units from Namshar. And stuck around as well. Like, I think if that was a situation where he gets the third base and immediately evacuates, that's very different. That actually might not even be a big deal to Namshar. Well, it's something, but it's not as big of a deal, because killing the units as well means that he feels a necessity to replace them, because he's still being attacked. And then he also doesn't get to instantly slap down a third base again, right? Which would have given him a minute faster mining or something, right? Like, hypothetically here. But it was something that actually lasted a while. It took out army. It took out, obviously, the entire base. And it was all off of Namshar's thorough scouting, too. This wasn't one of those, like, well, I had 60 drones, and I still held onto my economy. So even though I took some damage here and there, like... No, like, he was low on economy to begin with. He thought he could hold that, and then just realized he couldn't. And it was primarily the gas issue. If not entirely. I feel like if he had corrosive biles, it would have been different. Anyways, so it all started there. And then anything from that point on was going to be very difficult for him to hold against. But also the kind of awkward positioning where he was going up his own ramp to defend the third was another awkward point for him. So surprisingly, this guy in the bottom left, Namshar, is actually down 1. And a guy we don't see too often in the top right is the Red Protoss. Spaz shows us not just a game, you know, winning game, but also, like, pretty cool stuff. He was thoroughly scouted. He still made something out of it, better than something. He made a game out of it, a winning game out of it. And lots of micro from both players as well. I will say that, I mean, maybe Spaz had a couple moments where he let the Banelings roll through, and he kind of, like, walked into the Banelings towards the end there. He also had some decent micro. Like, his army control looked good. His macro looked good. I wasn't hyper focusing on either one necessarily, so I'm sure there's mistakes here and there, but everything looks pretty good. And then for Zen, the second game here, he's going to go ahead and do a cheese. I like this guy. This guy seems like very Protossy. In the best way. Thank you for the 100 bits, Airblade Orange. Did you watch Air Gear? Alright, so Namshar, he is putting his spawning pool in position that will scout the right side of his base when it completes. But a building does not see very much. It's like an Adept Shade. Doesn't see very much. Actual Adepts will see a lot, but not the spawning pool. It does see a probe mysteriously go around and then not appear. Didn't actually seize the pylon. Doesn't see the low ground, but the low ground is getting a finished cannon. So I think he might figure that out. This is something that Zerg players have had to deal with since Zen was first introduced in the map pool 4 months ago. And now his spawning pool that was used to provide a little bit more vision, more so in the mid or late game, is going to be the first thing to die. So that's no queens, no spine crawlers, no lings. I mean, maybe not even ling speed. It's kind of questionable. These are 3 cannons. Like, we'll see how the spine crawlers work, because we do have 2 spine crawlers on the way, as well as a baneling nest. That is Namshar's choice to combat this. But yeah, I feel like 3 cannons would kill this. And to use a transfuse on a spawning pool as opposed to a queen or a spine crawler is not what you want. Not that he has a transfuse. Yeah, make as many units as you can right now. Lings are coming forward. Speed is not quite done. The cannons well, they should be focus firing not on the spawning pool at this point. Shield battery has completed. Oh, shield batteries have completed. This is a gateway then forge. And pretty quickly into Systematic Explorers. So he has shield batteries. He has a robo already on the way. Spaz, definitely experienced with this build. Takes out the spawning pool. So nope, no metabolic boost. And things have gotten really awkward because all he needs to do is add on that Warp Prism, which is exactly what he's doing to take out the Spine Crawler. But actually, if he's not careful, Spine Crawler will be taken out by the cannon. Banelings do come in, manage to barely burst down 2 out of 3 cannons. Save that Spine Crawler's life, and a Transfuse is available. But you gotta know what's coming up next. It's a Warp Prism. Oh, he's even gonna bring the probe. I like it. Easy kill on that Spine Crawler. Queen's probably more important now. Spine Crawlers aren't going to hold up very well against the Immortals, but the Queens, they don't take any extra damage from Immortals, and they can actually focus that on the Warp Prism, which is actually the scary part of this push. By doing this, it is worth noting, by doing it this way, Spaz has managed to take out a spawning pool, which really sucks, and has taken out the economy mining of the main base. But Namshar does have freedom in the natural, and more so has freedom towards the rest of the map. Where you know, think about the usual way of cannon rushing, it's blocking out the natural. So you block out the natural, no mining there. You also block out any attempt to evacuate, which she's now doing. So the game kind of goes in this weird state of like migrant Zerg, where you can try and just buy enough time by continuing to revolve around the map. Does it work? I mean, sometimes. It forces the Warp Prism to go around, you know, dangerous unseen territory as well, but it's very hard to make it work. And the hatchery's actually gonna go down here, which, oh, that queen timing. Woo, 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 woo. Actually getting a bunch of shield damage done, hull damage as well. But yeah, the Warp Prism has to go in unseen territory. It goes even deeper onto creep. It's obviously not next to the shield battery. Some of the reasons why this can try and work out, but it's definitely not ideal for Namshar, who's not just going to lose a natural base, a main base, but is also once again going to lose his technology. Either to the Immortals finding it, or the creep spread receding. Now, I think the speed would finish if the Immortals don't get on top of this, which is the good news, but it's not done here. Transfuse on that one weak queen. The Warp Prism's a little worried right there, and it should be. The Immortals got very low on their health before that was saved. Go back and rejuice, but now we're up to 4, going on 5 Immortals. A second Robo is on the way. I mean, just build a Protoss army at this point, right? Like, invest in a Warp Gate with a couple of gateways. Like, I think that would end the game anyways. I think this is gonna be it, man. Speed is about to finish, but there's 4 Immortals. I mean, they're not doing extra damage to any of these units, and 2 of them are very weak, but 1 Immortal goes down. He's gonna try and come and actually save the rest of them. Just continue to micro. Namshar gonna be taken out by not an unknown, but definitely not a guy with as much name recognition. Oh, last Immortal. Second Immortal, rather, goes down. Definitely have the last one. And he has another Immortal, I think, that just finished, that just popped. And now he has double Robo production as well, so a third Immortal, there it is. That's what I thought. Ooh, the shield, barely popping. Oh, the Warp Prism goes down, but he can easily replace that. In fact, he already was replacing it. Look at that. Spawning pool has been rebuilt, so there's no fear of this bleeding out. And now the third hatchery is about to die here. Namshar down to 0 queens. Not many lings. Let's tap out. GG Spaz with the 2-0. Cool stuff. I know a lot more about this guy now.